You aren't good enough. You'll never be able to make it. Why did I even trust you with that? Brutal feedback. It hurts, it pinches, and it pierces. And the truth of the matter is, it doesn't help anybody at all. Not the person who's receiving it, and definitely not the person who's giving it. Yet why do we give brutal feedback? That's because we don't know better. Hello everyone, I'm Mansi Agarwal, corporate trainer and communications coach. And in this video today, I'm going to teach you exactly how to give feedback in a way that we elevate not just the standards of our family, not just the standards of our students, but maybe also the standards of our organization. The first question we must ask ourselves is, why is feedback important? Why should we make it a culture of giving and receiving feedback? There are two real basic reasons for this that I can think of at the moment. Number one, feedback encourages us to be better because it gives us a realistic picture of where we stand and what we are doing well. And number two, if given properly, feedback can be very motivating for most people. In this video, I'm going to talk about now the kinds of feedback and how exactly we must give them. There are three kinds of feedback in the world. Number one, lenient feedback. This is the kind of feedback you're giving without really sharing the actual problem. Let's say as a parent, I tell my child all the time, you're damn good, you're super, you're excellent, even when they've messed up. It has an opposite effect on my child. Yes, it might motivate them. Yes, it might make them feel good, but they won't have a realistic picture of where they stand. In a similar way, if I, as a boss, am always going to be telling all the people in my organization that they are doing good, and if I'm going to be giving them lenient feedback all the time, just in order to please them, I'm doing nobody a favor at all. They don't know realistically where they stand. They don't know where they need to improve, and slowly, the overall standards of the organization will be going down. So, that's the first kind of feedback, lenient feedback. The second kind of feedback is the kind of feedback that we spoke about in the beginning, brutal feedback. This kind of feedback really hurts when you talk personal about somebody, or if you speak to them very loudly, or if you don't treat them with respect. The feedback that you give them falls on deaf ears because nobody is in the state of mind to actually accept any points that you're telling them, which might be good, if you have already managed to hurt them, to irritate them in the beginning. So brutal feedback doesn't work because it sort of creates a barrier or a wall between the person you're giving the feedback to and you. So what is the kind of feedback that works and how can we give it? The kind of feedback that works is what I like to call honest criticism or constructive criticism. Constructive criticism is a mix of both the methods. It's the middle spot. It's the fine spot. It's the fine line where you are not being too lenient, but neither are you being too brutal. You manage to mix both these approaches so well that the other person is not only receptive to what you're saying, but they also take in all the things that you want to say and they are encouraged and motivated by it. So how exactly should we give feedback? When we give feedback, there are 4 steps we must keep in mind. Step number 1, appreciate them. Always remember that before we start talking any negative about the other person, we must appreciate them because that makes them receptive to what we are saying. That makes them feel that we genuinely care about them, that we have genuinely paid attention to times when they did well. So you could start your feedback with something like this. Mr. Ashish, 3 months ago when you were working on the last project, I was extremely impressed with all the work you put in. You stayed long hours and more than anything else, you were so meticulous about all the simple things that you put into the report. I'm extremely proud of you. Point number 1, you appreciate them. Remember, when you appreciate them, use their name and also be specific because that makes them feel that you have put in genuine attention into what they're saying. The point number 2 is, after you have appreciated them, always remember, this is where you must get honest. This is where you must talk about the negatives. This is where the real negative, difficult conversation is happening. When you talk about this, always remember, be honest, don't use any emotions, use facts and be as specific as possible. Let me give you an example. However, Mr. Ashish, 3 months ago you were doing excellently. However, in the last 3 or 4 weeks, I've realized that this new project is just not taking off as I expected it to. Your work seems to be rather irresponsible, you're not putting in enough thought, and I also feel that your mind is somewhere else. You're not focusing properly, you're not really meeting the deadlines, and I'm not satisfied with your performance at all. Now, the third part. This is where you are asking them questions to show your support. What kind of questions should you ask? There are really two main type of questions that you could ask. Question number 1. Is there anything that's bothering you? Are you in some kind of trouble? Is there something you'd like to share with me? If you ask them this question, it immediately makes them feel that you are willing to listen to them. And just getting a chance to express themselves can be really, really encouraging for many people. So the first question you should ask is there any problem? And the second question is, can I help you in some way? How can I support you? What can I do to make it easier for you to perform better? If you ask both these questions, what you're really doing is you're establishing a bit of trust, wherein the other person gets a chance to speak what they have to say, and you get a chance to understand their point of view. And more than anything else, they feel very encouraged because they feel that you are on their side and you are willing to support them in whatever they need support in. And the fourth point, and possibly the most important, is leave them feeling encouraged and leave them feeling that you trust them. Just saying at the end, you know what, I trust you. I'm going to support you in this way. I'm going to give you a bit more time. I'm going to help you all I can. But please remember, most importantly, I trust you and I know that you can do this really, really well. Just saying that much truly helps the other person, because when you tell them that you trust them, they feel very encouraged, they feel very motivated, and they feel that they must live up to your trust. So I'm really going to change the way we criticize each other so that we give honest feedback, we give genuine feedback. And I hope that these tips are going to help you get the kind of results you want, not just in the boardroom, but also in your dining room.